Now coming out of the traffic circle, continuing on Pacific Coast Highway, look at the desperate driving here going on, Chauncey and Susie.
Desmond, any idea if there are any other people inside this car besides the driver?
No, not clear at this point, and you know, we've got that super dark tint, which is kind of crazy if this is a dealer vehicle. Let's see where they're going though now at this point onto Zimino Way. Looks like, what do you know? Are we going into a parking structure to try to ditch the helicopter? Might be doing just that. Whoa, really close there. Yep. Into the parking structure. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact that we have had pursuits end at this exact parking structure, Zimino Way, near the outer traffic circle. I remember another one very specifically that came to an end, and unfortunately, this is what happens, you know, when law enforcement backs off on the ground for public safety reasons. It gives these suspects some time, a little bit of leeway. They go into a parking garage to evade law enforcement and our eyes from overhead, and it just makes it too easy for these suspects to, as they say, get away into the wind and evade capture, Susie and Chauncey.
They're going to get away. You talked about police stepping back here because of how crazy the driver was going and the speeds. Talk about what you saw before we came to you. I guess this driver must have really been driving crazy and going some high speeds for police to back
off. Right there in the middle of the screen.
Safety concerns.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Chauncey. In fact, it was pretty hard for us to find this vehicle, and it sounds like law enforcement's helicopter was having trouble keeping up because they were driving so crazy, zigging and zagging, turning left, turning right, going north, going east, like just all kinds of crazy maneuvers. And so it took us a while to even pick this one up. And it's, you know, especially difficult when you don't have, you know, law enforcement flashing lights behind them. Now, I mean, you can see officers only now beginning to pull up at this point, and it's been, you know, more than 2 minutes. Really, these suspects only need 30, 45 seconds to get into a multi-level parking garage like this, park the vehicle, and then, you know, look, there's an LA Fitness right here. If that's open, they could just slip in very easily and blend in with everybody.
Ooh, LA Fitness is going to be the one.
That's the good news, and it's obviously great that no one was injured in this. But that suspect, the probability of them getting away is very, very high right now.
And it really is because we have seen so many of these same instances where pursuit suspects go into these parking structures, and it's almost like they know the practice. They're familiar with it, so they do that for that reason. Because obviously, when there's so many cars inside such a huge structure and so many levels and just so many officers who can go in there and start searching for them, they might have gone away by now, or even, you know, later on, but they could, you know, change out of their clothes. They could, as Desmond was saying, blend in perhaps with the LA Fitness crowd, to, you know, who are going to the gym and just go inside the gym there and act like nothing's going on. So very difficult for law enforcement agencies to catch up with people like this. But if you're just joining us here on KCAL News at 8, this is breaking news, a pursuit coming to an end of a grand theft auto suspect in the city of Long Beach right now, near the traffic circle, outer traffic circle in Long Beach there. And the suspect just pulled right into this parking structure with the ground units just arriving. And they were a little behind, not only because of the fact that they actually pulled back the ground units because it was going to be a dangerous situation with the suspect driving so recklessly, going 70 miles per hour on surface streets, Chauncey.
And going fast even when entering this parking structure. You see that car barely missing that car, and even on the road barely missing the cars going in the opposite direction. Once again, this is Anaheim PD on this chase. We're told that it may have
lucky for them BMW brakes.
Santa Ana, this driver just driving very crazy and going high speeds. Police calling this a grand theft auto with this BMW with dealer's plate still left on the car. But this is where we are right now in this parking structure. We want to go back up to Desmond Shaw, who's joining us live from SkyCal. And Desmond, you got on this probably about 5 to 7 minutes ago. But
how many people were in that car? Is the question.
A little bit to get there, so gives us an idea of just how much that they kind of drifted back from this suspect.
Yeah, they had at least 2 or 3 minutes to catch up to get up to this parking garage, and that's really, you know, the double-edged sword that the police have to play with these games when they have to balance public safety, but also the probability of suspects getting away. Now, you see police, they're all pulling up here and trying to lock down this area, and they were somehow able to get a suspect description. We just heard on the radio that they believe it is a black female wearing a gray sweater. So if this was taken from a dealership, maybe that's how they got the suspect's description. I'm not sure how else they could have gotten it, because the windows, were rolled up and there was a really dark black tint. Maybe at one point law enforcement from the helicopter was able to peer through the windshield, but that's the description that we heard them give. Still, that's not a ton for them to go off of. Yeah. So we've just seen it so many times, Susie, like you said, especially with some folks, if this isn't their first rodeo, so to speak. This is what they'll do. They will, if they know of a parking structure that they can go into. I know specifically this very parking
letting
structure
people in there still
that has been used before to evade law enforcement. There's a lot of parking garages in downtown as well. We have covered a lot of pursuits. It's something we've been seeing in recent years. Some suspects are getting privy to, if they can just get a little bit of distance from the police, that they may be able to evade capture, this time anyway, by driving into a parking structure or something like this, where they can avoid the eyes from the sky.
Yeah, so a very vague description of this grand theft auto suspect tonight, as Desmond was just alluding to. A black woman with a gray sweater on, although she could have changed out of that sweater or perhaps put something else on to disguise herself and, make sure that she's not wearing the same thing that she was, obviously when this chase was happening. But another thing is that at this point, police are going to start bringing in some, help, and it might be perhaps a canine. They can actually smell the suspect and maybe track him that way. But as Desmond was talking about,
try to smell them at the
24-hour fitness. Given where they are right now, Chauncey.
Yeah, and an easy escape too, especially if this suspect is familiar with this garage and with the businesses around this parking structure. Desmond, I assume now that police are just kind of camped out here outside of this parking structure, and they may be keeping people from going in and also coming out at this point.
I would imagine so. They're going to seal this down and go level by level, and see if they can find anyone that matches that description, or maybe someone will alert them if they say, hey, I saw this person coming out of a car and running just as you pulled up. Are you looking for this person? Maybe they'll get lucky in some regard in that way. But like I said, it's just becoming unfortunately fairly common. And the reality is too, if this would have been like a violent crime, the law enforcement almost certainly would have kept with it regardless of the danger to public safety, because they really don't want that person to get away. But in recent years, we've been seeing that when we're dealing with property crime or minor infractions, police have, regardless of the agency, much more of a tendency to back off on these things. They're going to recover the property. No one, fortunately, was injured in this. Obviously you don't want to see someone getting away in a situation like this, but it's just probably the reality, and police may just kind of count their blessings or silver lining in this. Like I said, that no one was hurt, the property was recovered, and the danger to the public for the moment is over. You do see the canine right here, and they have gotten them to the scene, as Susie was saying, but all it takes 30, 45 seconds for these suspects to get away, and it's already been a lot longer than that. There's a very high probability that the suspect is no longer, in the parking garage.
And Desmond, are those other businesses attached to this? The other businesses there you're talking about, the LA Fitness, are they attached to this garage? Are there more exits where this suspect could, go down the levels or take the stairs or take an elevator?
Well, that's the thing too. These parking garages usually have like 4 staircases, one on each corner, and then you've got a couple of elevators as well. And the suspect would have just been able to get out easily before they were able to seal all of that off. It's unclear if there's a direct entrance to that LA Fitness from the parking garage, but probably when you have a lot of businesses like this that are directly attached to a parking garage, they'll just have a separate entrance right there in the middle of the garage, so that you don't have to go down and then back up again in another elevator or stairwell. So yeah, lots of entry and exit points for sure on this one. Although it's not clear if this 24-hour fitness is open. A lot of times with these businesses in a business park, they kind of just operate normal business hours. So very possible that it's not open. Not entirely sure, but not only do you have the parking garage, you also have these trees.
That's stupid. I just saw somebody walking.
Just seems like
we just saw somebody walking right now with a backpack on, or like a workout bag. Come on. I'm just going to...
As they were cutting around this car, and they actually made it into this parking
structure. I just fast-forwarded it to the live shot
that we're talking about right now, and that's where police are conducting their search now. But right here, right before they got into the structure, I just want to draw your attention once again. They barely missed that car coming right there. Wow. And then they got into the structure. Again, it's going to be a very difficult search, but as Desmond was talking about, we do have the...
Did you see that? That car that he almost hit turned into the parking structure. It didn't look like they were planning on pulling into that parking structure. It looked like they were going to pull out. They pulled in there like they wanted some smoke.
They barely missed that car coming right there. Wow. And then they got into the structure. Again, it's going to be a very difficult search.
Look at, now he makes a full left turn to go in there.
The canines there on the ground with police units, and now they're going to be going level to level, hopefully trying to find this person, but a very difficult challenge ahead of them.
And that suspect in a BMW, police calling this a grand theft auto. The BMW still has the license, the dealer's license, the dealer's plate still on there. But once the suspect got into this parking garage, it was probably about 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes before police arrived on scene.
All right, I'm going to say that this guy got away.
They had taken a step back because it became so dangerous with this driver in and out of traffic, weaving, and also going at high rates of speed. So we're going to go back up to Desmond. So I know they just they have the K9s out there. What's the very latest? We know that LA Fitness is, we showed earlier, we know that LA Fitness is attached to this. So what are you looking at now? What are we thinking here?
Well, Chauncey, I did just look through the windows there, and it looks like the gym is open. I did see someone on some exercise equipment, and we did see the canine go inside. And you know, they're going to try to pick up a scent. We can see people out here wondering what the commotion is. Just, you know, wow, what's going on with all these lights? Probably just finished their workout, trying to get back to their cars. May have to wait for law enforcement on this one. But let me throw it back to you for a second. My pilot, Jeff, may have just heard some new details. So let me just get back to you in 1 minute.
Got you. All right. Thanks a lot. You are following breaking news here on the news at 8 o'clock tonight. We got on this chase probably about 10 minutes ago. We're being told it started in the city of Santa Ana. Anaheim Police Department chasing this
city I was born at.
BMW. They're calling it a grand theft auto case. It still has the dealer's plates on the car. We're being told this may be a black female in the car wearing a gray sweater. Of course, that description very vague tonight, but that's all we're getting right now from police. This car had been in and out of traffic and driving very recklessly, and that's why Anaheim Police decided to take a step back, because at one point it got so dangerous.
That's right. We're going to keep an eye on the situation, and Desmond Shaw in SkyCal over the scene and bring you the very latest just as soon as we have an update for you. In the meantime, hey, it is Friday, and it is time to enjoy some cooler temperatures. We're certainly looking forward to...
Sounds like they gave up.